The Vespira Collective's warships materialized in Earth's orbit without warning, their obsidian hulls absorbing sunlight like cosmic predators. Admiral Calix Oren stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, his weathered face illuminated by emergency, lighting as Earth's orbital defense grid faltered against the alien assault. "They've breached the Kuiper Belt defenses," Lieutenant Bryceus Tamar reported, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding across tactical displays. "Colonies on Ganymede and Europa have gone dark." Oren's knuckles whitened as he gripped the command console. Humanity had encountered the Vespira 3 decades earlier, insectoid beings with hive-mind consciousness and technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Their first contact had been peaceful, until the Vespira discovered humans possessed something unique in the galaxy, emotional resonance that created distinctive neural patterns. The aliens had attacked without warning, harvesting thousands for study before retreating to their home systems. What followed was 27 years of desperate technological advancement as humanity prepared for their inevitable return. "Status of Project Prometheus?" Oren asked, eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. Commander Elwick Dorn, head of Earth's Defense Science Division, stepped forward. "Operational, Admiral, but we've never tested it against actual Vespira tech. The quantum entanglement disruptors might not penetrate their shields, and if they fail, we have nothing left," Oren concluded. The bridge fell silent as the first Vespiran energy lances sliced through Earth's atmosphere, targeting major population centers. Beijing vanished in a column of light. Then Sao Paulo. "London. They're broadcasting, sir," Bryceus announced. "System-wide." The holographic display flickered, revealing the compound eyes and chitinous mandibles of High Commander Vrextil. Its voice resonated through the ship's speakers in perfect, emotionless English. "Humans. Your neural patterns are valuable. Resistance decreases yield quality. Surrender your population centers. Selective harvesting ensures species continuation." Oren's jaw tightened. 2 billion deaths in the first invasion had taught humanity exactly what selective harvesting meant. "Open a channel," he ordered. When Bryceus nodded, he straightened his shoulders and addressed the alien commander. "This is Admiral Calix Oren of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Your unprovoked aggression against our species ends today." The B. Vesperan commander's mandibles clicked in what intelligence analysts had identified as amusement. "Your species lacks capacity to enforce demands." "This is humanity's final warning," Oren continued, his voice dropping dangerously. "Attack once, more and face oblivion." As if in answer, another energy lance struck Paris, vaporizing the ancient city. Oren closed his eyes briefly. "May whatever gods exist forgive us," he whispered, then turned to Commander Dorn. "Activate Prometheus." Dorn nodded grimly, placing his palm on the biometric scanner. Project Prometheus engaging in 3, 2, 1. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations awakened, targeting the quantum signature of Vesperan consciousness. What the aliens never understood was that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their capacity for both mercy and ruthlessness. And today, mercy had run out. Project Prometheus wasn't a weapon in the conventional sense. After the first invasion, scientists studying captured Vesperan technology had made a discovery. The hive-mind consciousness that connected all Vesperans functioned on quantum entanglement principles, instantaneous communication across any distance. What Lieutenant Meridian Voss proposed was both brilliant and terrible. If they couldn't match Vesperan firepower, they would attack their consciousness itself. "Energy spike in the Vesperan fleet," Bryceus reported, her voice tight. "They're charging. Weapons for another salvo." Commander Dorn's fingers danced across the command console. "Prometheus is calibrating. Their neural network has adaptive security protocols we didn't anticipate." On the view screen, the Vesperan ships continued their implacable advance, positioning themselves over Earth's remaining megacities. High Commander Vrexteel's transmission continued. Your resistance is cataloged as behavioral anomaly. This increases your species' research value. Oren turned to Nelia Reeve, the fleet's xenobiologist. How much do they know about what we're attempting? Nothing, she replied, her expression grim. The Vespirans have no concept of individualized consciousness as we understand it. They can't conceive of an attack on their network because, to them, consciousness isn't separate from physical existence. A shudder ran through the UES Defiance as a glancing blow from an energy lance struck its shields. Prometheus at 60% alignment, Dorn announced. If we can hold them off for 3 more minutes. The ship rocked again. Shields at 30%, Briseus called out. Multiple hull breaches on decks 7 through 11. On the tactical display, red icons representing Earth's defense platforms winked out one by one. Incoming transmission from Geneva Bunker, Briseus announced. It's President Ashara. The lined face of Earth's leader appeared on screen. Admiral, status report. Prometheus is initializing, Madam President. If it works, the Vesperan fleet will be neutralized. If not, Oren let the implication hang. I understand. President Ashara's expression hardened. The survival bunkers are sealed. If this fails, the Omega Protocol will activate. She looked directly at Oren. Earth may fall, but humanity will continue among the stars. Our colony ships are beyond their sensor range. Another violent impact shook the ship. Shields failing, Briseus reported. Prometheus at 85%, Dorn called out. We need more time. Oren made his decision. Lieutenant Tamar, plot collision course with the Vesperan command ship. All power to forward shields, sir. Briseus stared at him in shock. We need to buy time for Prometheus to fully deploy. If we can disrupt their command structure for even a few minutes. Oren's eyes met each of his bridge crew. It has been an honor. The Defiance surged forward, engines burning beyond safety. Parameters as it accelerated toward the massive Vesperan flagship. Across the solar system, the remaining human vessels followed suit, throwing themselves at the enemy in desperate sacrifice. Prometheus at 94%, Dorn whispered, as the massive alien vessel filled their view screen. The last thing Admiral Oren saw before impact was the pulsing light at the heart of the Vesperan ship, the physical nexus of their hive mind, and then darkness. Consciousness returned to Oren in fragments. First sound, the hiss of medical equipment, urgent voices, then sensation, pain, omnipresent and searing. Finally sight, the sterile white ceiling of a medical bay. Admiral, a voice called. He's conscious. A face swam into view. Commander. Dorn, one side of his face wrapped in regenerative bandages. Did we? Oren tried to speak, his throat raw. We survived, Dorn confirmed. More than survived. Prometheus worked, sir. Better than we could have imagined. Oren struggled to process this information as a medical officer administered pain suppressants. The Vesperans? Neutralized, came another voice. President Ashara moved to his bedside. You were recovered from the wreckage of the Defiance. The ship's sacrifice bought the crucial seconds needed for Prometheus to achieve full deployment. What did it do to them? Oren asked. Nelia Reeve stepped forward, her arm in a sling. The quantum disruption cascaded through their entire neural network. It didn't destroy them physically. It did something far more profound. It individualized them. I don't understand, Oren admitted. Project Prometheus severed their hive connection, Dorn explained. For the first time in their species' history, each Vesperan exists as an individual consciousness, separate from the collective. President Ashara's expression was complex. Relief, mingled with something darker. Their ships are drifting. The survivors appear to be in severe psychological distress. Imagine being one cell in a body suddenly cut off from all others. So they're helpless? Oren asked. Not helpless, Nelia corrected. transforming. Our monitoring stations are detecting new neural patterns forming. They're developing individual identities at an accelerated rate. Oren closed his eyes, absorbing the magnitude of what they'd done. They hadn't destroyed the Vespirans. They'd fundamentally altered the very nature of their existence. "We're receiving transmissions," Dorn added quietly. "Fragmented, confused, but distinct. Individual Vesperans trying to communicate separately from the collective." The tactical display showed the Vesperan fleet, once arranged in perfect geometric formations, now drifting in chaotic patterns. "One transmission is clear," President Ashara said, nodding to a communications officer. "It's been repeating for the past hour." The screen flickered, showing a single Vesperan. Unlike High Commander Vrextil's perfect stillness, this one's movements were jerky, distressed. Its voice emerged broken, emotions evident for the first time. "What have you done to us? I am alone. I help us understand." Oren watched in silence. They had won the war not through destruction, but by forcing an evolution that might have taken the Vesperans millennia to achieve naturally. "What happens now?" he asked. President Ashara straightened. "That's what we need to decide. We have thousands of traumatized, newly individualized beings in Earth orbit. Do we treat them as continued threats or potential refugees? The Security Council is divided." "They came to harvest us," Commander Dorn reminded them, his voice hard. 2 billion deaths 30 years ago, millions more today. "And yet," Nilia interjected, "what we've done to them may be worse than death in their understanding. We've destroyed everything they were." Oren struggled to sit up. "No. We've given them something they never had. The chance to become something. More than components in a hive. The question is, what will they choose to become?" 3 months after what historians were already calling the individuation event, Admiral Oren stood in the observation dome of Luna Station, watching the modified Vesperan vessel dock. Its once sleek obsidian hull now bore markings. Unique. Identifiers painted by individual crew members, a concept previously incomprehensible to their species. "Are you certain about this meeting?" Lieutenant Brasius asked, standing at his side. She had been promoted after the battle, one of many field advancements necessitated by humanity's heavy losses. "No," Oren admitted, "but the alternative is perpetual isolation or extermination. Neither sits well with me." The airlock cycled, and 3 Vesperans entered the chamber. Unlike the perfect uniformity they had once displayed, each now moved differently, one with decisive quickness, another with careful deliberation, the third with what appeared to be hesitation. The lead Vesperan stepped forward. Painted across, its carapace was a symbol humanity had never seen on their species before, a broken circle reforming into something new. "I am Vextan," it said, the name itself a revelation. Individual Vespirans had never needed names before. "I speak for the awakened." "The awakened?" Oren inquired. "Those who have embraced the change." Vextan's compound eyes reflected the starlight. "Not all have. Many perished, unable to process existence as singular beings. Others rage, seeking to rebuild the collective. But we, the awakened, we see what you have given us." "We defended ourselves," Oren said carefully. "Our intention was survival, not transformation." The second Vesperan made a sound, a clicking that xenolinguists had recently identified as their version of bitter humor. "Intention irrelevant. Outcome remains. I am Litara. Before I was drone engineer, one function among millions. Now, I am myself." The third Vesperan remained silent, observing. "Why have you requested this meeting?" Oren asked. Vextan's mandibles adjusted in what they had learned was a thoughtful expression. "We seek understanding, and to offer knowledge." "Knowledge of what?" The others, Lithara answered. The collective sent harvest fleets to 17 worlds. Now those fleets operate without central guidance. Some continue mission parameters. Some drift purposeless. Some turn against each other. Orin felt a chill. Are you saying there are more Vesperan fleets attacking other species? Yes, Vextan confirmed. Species you have not encountered. The collective sought neural diversity throughout this galactic. Arm! The third Vesperan finally spoke, its voice softer than the others. I am Mavericks. I was connected to attack group targeting the Althean worlds. Before severance. They are peaceful. They will not survive. President Ashara, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. You're offering to help us help them? We offer navigation coordinates, fleet positions, tactical weaknesses, Vextan affirmed, and more. We offer alliance. Orin exchanged glances with the president. Alliance? Months ago you were harvesting our people. I was not I then, Vextan replied simply. None of us were. What the collective did, we remember, but as one remembers a dream. Horrifying but distant. Lithara stepped closer. You changed what we are. We cannot return to the collective. Our future now tied to individual existence. We must learn this way of being. And who better to teach you than humanity? Orin concluded, understanding dawning. Yes, Mavericks confirmed. You mastered individual consciousness while maintaining connection. This is what we seek to learn. President Ashara's expression remained guarded. And what do we gain from this alliance beyond coordinates? Vextan's mandibles clicked. Vesperan technology, manufacturing capabilities, and knowledge of threats beyond your understanding. The collective did not evolve naturally. It was engineered. Engineered? Nylia Reeve asked, speaking for the first time. By whom? That, Vextan said, is what we must discover together. 5 years later, the joint human-awakened Vesperan vessel Convergence dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Althean system. On the bridge, Admiral Orin stood beside Vextan, watching as the tactical display revealed the devastation wrought by the unguided Vesperan harvester fleet. We're too late for the outer colonies, Bryceus reported now, a commander herself. Scanning shows minimal life signs. The home world? Orin asked. Still fighting, Lithara replied from the engineering station. Althean defenses surprisingly effective against uncoordinated attacks. The Convergence was humanity's first true warship built with integrated Vesperan technology. What had once taken the UES Defiance 30 minutes to travel now took seconds. Weapons that once barely scratched Vesperan shields now cut through them like paper. All vessels, battle formation Delta, Orin commanded. The mixed human-Vesperan fleet spread out behind them. 20 ships crewed by both species, the vanguard of what they now called the Alliance of Sovereign Beings. Mavericks, who had become the fleet's tactical officer, looked up from her station. Harvester ships detecting our approach. They are confused. Our Vesperan design registers as friendly, but our movement patterns identify as non-collective. Open communications, Orin ordered. The view screen activated, showing a Vesperan drone commander, its movements mechanical and precise, untouched by individuation. Convergence to Vesperan Harvest Fleet, Orin announced. Stand down your attack. On the Althean homeworld. The drone commander's response came in the flat, emotionless tone Orin remembered all too well. Unknown vessel configuration. Identify collective authorization. Vextan stepped forward. There is no collective authorization. The collective is broken. The drone commander's antennae twitched. The first sign of confusion. Statement invalid. Collective is eternal. No, Vextan replied. It was manufactured, as were we all, engineered, by the precursors to harvest neural patterns throughout the galaxy. This revelation, pieced together from fragmented memories of thousands of individuated Vesperins, had shaken both species. The Vesperin collective hadn't evolved naturally, but had been created as collection vessels by an ancient species that had mysteriously vanished. "Your directive is false," Vexitan continued. "You harvest for masters long gone. We offer you what humans gave us, freedom to exist as individuals." The drone commander's response was immediate. "Corruption detected. Purge protocol engaged." The Harvester fleet turned from the battered Althean defenses, reorienting toward the Alliance vessels. "They've made their choice," Orin said quietly. "All ships, engage Prometheus protocol." Unlike the desperate, untested deployment years earlier, this version of Prometheus was refined, a targeted pulse that affected only Vesperins who remained connected to the fragmentary collective. As the pulse propagated through the Harvester, fleet ships began to drift, their perfect formations dissolving. "Althean vessels are hailing us," Briseis reported. "They're thanking us." On the tactical display, the remaining Althean defense ships, elegant crystalline structures that seemed to flow rather than fly, moved cautiously toward the Alliance. "Fleet, open a channel," Orin ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." The view screen shifted, revealing a being unlike any Orin had encountered, a crystalline entity with pulsing internal light that seemed to form patterns as it spoke. "I am Luminar Eshtara of the Althean Concord," it said, its voice melodic. "You have saved what remains of our people. We offer our deepest gratitude." Orin stepped forward. "I am Admiral Kylix Orin of Earth. This is Vextan of the Awakened. Vesperans. We represent the alliance of sovereign beings." The Althean's internal lights pulsed with what might have been surprise. "You work together? After what they did to your worlds?" "We choose to define ourselves by what we can become, not what we were," Orin replied. "The Vesperins were weapons, unaware of their own nature. Now they choose their path, as all sentient beings should." Vextan moved to stand beside him. "We offer the same choice to the individuated harvesters in your system, and we offer the Althean Concord membership in our alliance." Eshatara's crystalline form shimmered. "To what end?" Orin smiled grimly. "To find the precursors who engineered the Vesperin collective, to discover why they created a species designed to harvest neural patterns throughout the galaxy, and to ensure no species is ever used as a weapon again." As the Althean considered this proposal, Orin looked out at the stars beyond the view screen. 5 years ago, humanity had stood on the brink of extinction, their final warning to the Vesperins seemingly futile. Now they stood at the beginning of something unprecedented, an alliance of species united not by biological similarity or shared history, but by the fundamental right of all beings to determine their own existence. "Your warning," Vexitan said quietly beside him, "the one you issued before activating Prometheus. Attack once more, and face oblivion. You were more right than you knew." Orin nodded. The collective did face oblivion, but from that death came new life. As the Althean Luminar began discussing terms of cooperation, Orin reflected on humanity's journey. They had defended themselves not through superior firepower or technology, but by forcing their enemies to confront the one thing the collective had never possessed: individual choice. And in doing so, they had transformed an existential threat into their greatest allies in the quest to uncover the truth behind the galaxy's most ancient mystery. Humanity's final warning had indeed brought oblivion, not to a species, but to a system of control that had persisted for millennia. In its place stood something far more powerful: freedom. "Admiral," Briseis called, "long-range sensors are detecting. Another harvester fleet changing course, heading for the Meridian cluster." Orin exchanged glances with Vextan. Their work was far from over. "Plot an intercept course," he ordered. "The Alliance has a message to deliver."